On Maui, 2,000 homes incinerated, hundreds of people killed in an area largely owned and lived in by longtime native islanders. The rest of Maui was remarkably fine. It's amazing how that worked. But that didn't stop the governor, by the way, from telling tourists, hey, stay away from Maui. Maui is closed to tourists, and it worked. I spoke to friends today on Maui and other sources who say it's virtually a ghost town this morning. Tourism has basically totally dried up all the way on the other side of the island that is totally untouched. Hotels are open, but no one is going to Maui. So the governor's declaration, stay away, is really, really working. Tourism is the lifeblood of this island. And of course, this is like a return to COVID era when no one could travel there. And it's devastating to this economy. Real estate developers have already swooped in. They've been making big money offers to buy up the burned land that these native islanders spent years saying no to selling. We're not going to sell this. We've taken offers and fielded offers for years. We're not going to sell it now. Of course, these offers are pouring in left and right. It's been 22 days, and still the ATF hasn't released any official cause of the fire. Was it a directed energy weapon, as some suggest? Was it arson? Was it the electric company that didn't turn off their power lines? The Maui County is suing the Hawaii Electric. They say they're negligent in all of this, that they didn't turn off their power lines. You know this part of the story. And they said, look, you guys had an opportunity to turn off your power lines after the National Weather Service issued their high wind alerts and their high wind warnings. Now, earlier that morning on August 8th, of course, there was a small fire. The police were able to put it out, 100% contained. Firefighters and police got that totally under control. But then it wasn't until 3 in the afternoon when the massive fire struck. But now Hawaii Electric says they turned off their power lines 6 hours before the fire started. So that couldn't be the cause of it. They're saying, hey, don't look at us. Do you believe them, by the way? Let us know in the chat rooms right now if you believe them. Yes, I believe the Hawaii Electric Company that turned off a for-profit company, by the way. This is a for-profit company. They say, we didn't have anything to do with it. We turned off those power lines 6 hours ago. Just take their word for it. How many of you believe them? It's like Pfizer telling us they didn't know about the adverse effects for their vaccines. We know that they knew about this, and they kept it quiet from us. So 6 days after the fire, the CEO of Hawaii Electric didn't have any info about the power lines being turned off. Was asked about this in a press conference 6 days after. Watch.
Why didn't you shut off the power when the wind started to pick up?
As I said earlier, it's still in the early days. We're still looking at all the information, and we haven't actually had a chance to do all of that at this time.
With all due respect, it's been 6 days, though, so almost 6 days.
And we've been putting everything we've got to helping our communities right now and our employees who are going through a lot and supporting them so that they can support the communities.
So to me, that would be an easy thing, though, to figure it out, wouldn't it be? Right? Like you either someone in your office issued an order or they didn't. You'd be able to track that chain of command. There'd be email exchanges. There would be.
You would think that there would be a way to meter electricity.
Right. They're so good at telling us how much we use. They can't figure out if they turned off their own power lines, their substations.
If there's still.
Go ahead, Philip.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say maybe it's like that mysterious switch in the break room that nobody's sure what it does. It actually just turns off Maui's power, and somebody just flipped that, and nobody knew about it.
It's like Homer Simpson going in. He flips a I pressed the wrong. I turned off all of the entire city. You just can't figure that out.
Right. Maybe you log into your portal and see where people being charged after this time that you said was turned off. You know, these things are not that hard to figure out in this day and age.
With a computer system that's running an entire electrical grid, a for-profit company, your computers would show power being turned off at the exact second that was carried out.
She acts like she has to dig it out from under. We haven't had a chance to do that.
Yeah, we're dealing with a lot of rubble right now. Our families are in disarray. We're just trying to make sure we're taking care of our community, so we can't get those answers.
We can't go and answer those questions.
My freaking iPhone, for crying out loud, has the ability to tell me the exact moment that the device is powered down. I can go into the settings and see the cycling stages of my iPhone, for crying out loud. But they can't figure that out.
That just tells me their PR company hasn't given them the response yet.
Right. We didn't realize someone was going to ask you at a press conference. We should have had those prepared remarks ready to go. Maybe Corinne Jean-Pierre can hand out some some talking points for him. Beyond who started the fire, though, and who stands to benefit from all of this, here are the other big questions that we have here on this show. Number one, what happened to the children? As of this hour, 2,000 children are missing. That's no small number. Sources I'm speaking with say that it's likely, highly likely, that many of these children have been taken off, sold off in child trafficking rings.
What?
This is textbook studies in disaster zones, war zones. As Tim Ballard on our show, of course, who Jim Caviezel played in the great movie The Sound of Freedom, says, disaster zones are the number one place where sex exploitation and child traffickers go in and exploit. Children are captured, sold off on the black market. Parents aren't around. Something's happened to the parents. This is a perfect opportunity. This happens all the time. This is not new. This is not something that we're making up. The number one way that children are captured is after a disaster. Wars, hurricanes, typhoons, earthquakes. Just look at Indonesia, look at Ukraine. This is exactly what's happening. Might be uncomfortable to talk about, but it's true. And according to EV News today, the situation has been further inflamed by accusations downplaying the high number of child victims to protect the Biden administration and local Democrats. Over 2,000 children from Lahaina's public schools remain unaccounted for. Unaccounted for. The official death number still sits at 115 people dead. The number hasn't moved. That number is fishy at best, criminal at worst, actually, and the number of missing doesn't actually add up. It's right now it's 388 missing, which is a total lie. Even CBS News, New York Magazine also saying this number doesn't make sense and questioning these official numbers that we're getting. At least 1,100 people, and that the FBI even revised their numbers to match, jumped up hundreds when they revised their own list. What's going on here? So other reports have it over 2,000, but they're sticking with their 388 number. And New York Magazine asks, why are hundreds of people still missing on Maui? What is going on here?
Well, I was wondering if maybe school hadn't started yet, but it's easy to find in the Hawaii Public School Department of Education. They started in August.
Yeah.
So those kids should be in school, yeah.
They should be in school, and the schools have them unaccounted for. Over 2,000 of them. We don't know where they are. So where are these missing children of Maui? We'd like some answers. We'd love for the governor to help us. We'd love for officials on the ground there, the sheriff's office and others, to tell us, but we can't get answers. People are being kept from getting information, and homeowners are being arrested now if they attempt to go to their house to see if their home is there. Weeks after the fires, here's the Washington Post reports, most residents are blocked from access to Lahaina homes. They can't get there. In fact, today being handed permission slips if they're able to go. Blue permission slips on their way to try to get back home. If they're lucky, if the sheriff's department will let them. Sources are telling me today that cell service is almost non-existent in this area, spotty at best. Government was supposed to bring in those Starlink systems. They were promising to try to get some of the Starlink systems, but that hasn't happened. To even try to get some WhatsApp phone calls or like FaceTime audio phone calls, using internet service to make phone calls with family members and others, or just to get some information out there, they can't. And people are scared to leave their homes. People who still have homes are holed up and not wanting to leave. And now, over the past few days, a large amount of black fencing is being erected to block out the viewpoint into the fire zone along the highway. This is just what the fence looks like here. It's not enough to just have it be a barrier. It's got to be like taller, opaque and taller than me. But of course, they're saying that this is 300,000 feet of linear dust screening. And that's all it is. Don't worry about it. It's just for dust. And they got $3 million in emergency funding to put this out there. So just to be clear, go ahead.
How did they block all the dust before this then?
Right. I guess dust wasn't dust is suddenly an issue now because of the fires.
Right.
Look, I don't understand it because I've been in the media a long time and I've been a journalist for a long time. I've covered the wildfires in Montana, hurricanes in Florida, floods in West Virginia. I've never been kept from covering a fire zone before. I stood in disgusting knee-deep water that's like horrible sewage, and no one said a word to me. They're like, oh, you're a reporter? That's what you do. Go there. But apparently you can't do any of that here. And they're keeping you from seeing this. This program, by the way, started on August 16th to put up this fence. So, 8 days after this fire. And they got $3 million in emergency funding to do it. Okay, what about the people of Lahaina? Like, you're more concerned about a dust fence?
Where'd they come from? Like, how do you build that fence?
Where do you get the fence guys?
Yeah.
Where do you get this emergency fence guys to come in and do this? It's amazing. And now this morning, on top of that, drones are now banned. So if you want to fly a drone over this area, good luck. Initial drone footage kind of came out, but at the time, but now you're not allowed to do it anymore. Officials have now outlawed drones. According to independent journalist Jeff Cygnus, who tried to do this, if you're on public property, you're no longer allowed to use drones. Public property, you can't use it. Cygnus also is reporting that unmarked police cars have been showing up, standing guard around the perimeter. So if you even stop your car, you're going to be told to get back in the car and go. So these unmarked police cars with no, Hawaiian information on them at all, popping up all over the place and being told to stay away, blocking the perimeter of this. He says the National Guard told him to get back in his car, keep moving. And it's amazing that we can, by the way, deploy the National Guard to Lahaina, but not to the southern border. Just think about that for a second. So listen to his discussion about this wall. Watch.
There seems to be a huge emphasis on ensuring that the media and anyone else can't see what's going on here in Lahaina, West Maui. There are miles and miles of this black fence going up that was not here before, that is obscuring ground zero and making sure no one can see what's going on inside of there from the road. No one can get in there. No one can take any pictures. And then I've also seen these weird foreign police cars showing up, these special police, I'm not sure what to call them. This is a Nissan, but there's quite a large presence of these standing guard around the perimeter. We've also lost our ability to fly drones really anywhere near this area. Now, this 20-second clip here that I tried to get out of my car and show what was going on, I was almost immediately, after these 20 seconds, National Guard came, chased me off, yelled at me, told me to get back in my car and keep moving. So you cannot pull over. You can't even stop your car anywhere near any of this anymore.
Regardless, there is a massive human element to all of this, of course. Thousands of missing children, adults that have lost everything, businesses destroyed because tourists won't come, businesses destroyed because of the fires, developers trying to buy up these people's lands, and because a governor basically told tourists not to come to this area, this economy in ruins. And there's now a concert that's a benefit concert that's about to unfold on September 2nd. Our friends over at the Global Health Project are putting this together. Eric Clapton, by the way, it's amazing. They called them. They're like, Eric, would you like to be a part of this? He said, absolutely. I will do it. I'll clear my calendar. These other artists that are also part of this concert, all proceeds, 100% of the proceeds will go to the victims of these fires. You can see on the screen there, you can text the word mahalo to 53-555 to donate. One of the organizers is Dr. Kat Lindley from the Global Health Project. I had a chance to speak with her just a few minutes ago to ask her about the human element of this and what we can expect from